Sweet Home Alabama playing! You guys shred! 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 You guys shred!
Welcome to You Guys Shred. When you have to start your set as the doors open, you get punched in the face at a pizza place, and the Megadeth cover band at the high school talent show are garbage human beings. I am your host, Keaton Stewart.
I'm your co-host, Tyler Christensen.
If you guys like what we're doing and want to support the podcast, it really helps us out if you subscribe, share, and review. Today's guests are beautiful, talented human beings. They just released a brand new EP, At the Close. Please enjoy Cody and Jacob of Absolved. How's it going, guys? Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
So good. Thanks for having us.
Totally.
Of course. I feel like we should just start off with your guys' new EP, At the Close, just came out just the other day. And I was telling Cody earlier before we started, it's just, it's a solid EP, solid piece of work. I feel like, I know it's only like 10 minutes, but there's nothing that I feel like needs to be taken away or added. It's just solid and perfect how it is. And it's just, I know when you guys play live, it's very energetic and, you know, aggressive, and it's got those dynamics in there. And I feel like it's with some bands, you're like, oh, that's really great live, but it doesn't translate recorded. But for you guys, it's solid between both, which is just, I mean, I was listening to it in the car. And it's one of those things where you start and you're like, oh, yeah, you start at a volume. You just keep increasing the volume, increasing the volume. And then you realize, like, oh, fuck, I'm speeding. Yeah, it's solid. I really like it a lot. How do you guys feel about it?
No, first of all, thank you. I just don't want to glaze over that. Like, yeah, keep it coming, boy. And what about you?
I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Yeah. Well, I know I'll start. Like, I've said this a few times, so I might sound like a broken record, but, like, I think would be a little embarrassed if we really told people, like, how many man hours we put into just 9.5 minutes worth of music.
Yeah, people don't realize how much goes into recording.
Like, if you do it the right way and really flesh it out, like, we've been really blessed with, like, the way our writing process is, with obviously our drummer Nick owning his own studio and being a music producer himself, and then young Cody here, little rascal, and Mike having even just some basic recording equipment. Our writing process isn't limited to just the amount of FaceTime we can have with each other. We're consistently demoing and creating new revisions, uploading it to the cloud, pulling it from the cloud, tearing it apart, like just revising. And then, I think we really wanted to stick with another just short blast of music. We didn't want any filler in there. And Cody could probably talk to this too. We even had some B-sides from it that we have fully demoed and ready that we shorten it up and are saving for a new release. But yeah, man,
something to look forward to.
The release as is, it just felt so cohesive and perfect that we didn't want to take any more or add anything else.
Yeah, and it comes across, like, the passion in it feels, it's like when you're listening to it, I know with some things these days, you don't want to talk shit on anybody, but just with certain art, for me, at least in my own opinion, when you're listening to it and going through, you're like, okay, this seems a little forced. Like, these other songs were great, but this one, it just seems like, oh, crap, we need 10 songs. Let's throw it on there.
Yep.
Versus your guys' EP, it just is cohesive, solid, and like you just said, you know, we had extra songs, but we didn't need to put it on there because it was, and it comes across that way.
Yeah. No, and I mean, really, in the streaming age now, like, there's no barrier to entry to consume this music either. Anybody can go stream it. So it's like...
And you're competing with everybody.
Exactly. So what's going to make you stand out? What's going to grab people's ear? And most of all, get engagement from them to continue coming back to it and sharing with others. And with how instant that can be, I feel like personally, for the most part, long form records are becoming more and more obsolete.
Yeah.
Because in the streaming age where attention
spans,
can produce and push this stuff out, and now you have access to, you know, distros that can push it across all these platforms for you. I think we've been seeing, especially more in the hardcore and like hardcore adjacent realm, like a lot more concurrent, shorter releases.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also some people just put out singles and whatever else, but the 4-song EP, like, I love that because it's like one song. You're like, okay, I'll listen to it once or twice or whatever kind of thing. But when you have a 4-song EP, you have the thing, you're like, oh, that's cool. I can listen to that
To the whole
over
thing.
and a couple times because you're like, okay, it's I don't know, maybe because there's a couple songs, you like it keeps refreshing and keeps it fresh. It's not like just over and over one song. And I guess kind of coming back to the songwriting in itself, with the kind of music you guys play, I feel like when the way that we kind of know each other is Cody used to hang out with my old band, I Capture Castle, which was like
I remember that name.
Yeah, it was more like heavy and stuff.
Yeah.
And I felt like for that kind of music and the music that Absolved does, do you find that you have to be in like a kind of more angry or, just more of the energetic kind of state when you're writing the music? Or can you just like do it whenever?
What do you think, Cody?
For guitar, I just kind of play guitar all the time anyway. Sometimes I'm in a worse mood than other times, and sometimes
And then I find myself playing heavier riffs.
Yeah. Then at that point, we'll just send it over to Mike and Nick, and they'll turn it into magic, and then Jake will write some crazy lyrics over the top of that. Everything Jake writes is honest, so I'm sure that it comes
across that way as well.
Yeah, I don't know, it's like my favorite.
But I mean, to answer your question, I guess more from a lyrical standpoint, it doesn't always have to come from a place of anger, but I think what we all just said, it has to come from a very honest and vulnerable place. And sometimes that is aggression. I mean, we have some really aggressive songs that have strong feelings behind it, but like, man, a lot of my songs are about like love. Like there's a song about my wife and like, songs about cut it out.
Image.
It's an erotic tale.
In this story, I'm a centaur,
and
my shirt is always off.
I traveled 500 miles to give you my seed.
My bow is made of wool.
Funny enough, though, the shit that you guys are joking about right now, I write a lot of Tolkien mythology in my songs.
I was going to say,
so not far off.
Technically, it's the second track, but the first track is more of like an intro, right? Is the helm? Mm-hmm. Is that? I was wondering, did that come from the old Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, we'll put a pin in it. We'll circle right on back to that. Because I mean, but I do also find my own personal meaning and feelings even behind that content.
Hey man,
too.
Zeppelin did it. It's okay with me.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Hammer of the God is literally talking about people like, oh, what a cool song to put in a Thor movie. It's like it's literally
about Thor.
Yeah. But I mean,
Gollum. Hello.
Back to it. It definitely does come from aggression, but like if I don't have real feelings behind it, I definitely subscribe to the idea of there's this band that I love called Trial. They're from Seattle, and they're like a 90s hardcore band. In their song Understrained, I believe, he says, what we make of this energy is everything. In the absence of passion, our screams are worth nothing. So if it's not passionate, if I don't believe it, I'm simply not going to scream it. I'm not going to put it in any of my songs. So that's why, like, the shit that I'm passionate about is social justice and change. Like, fucking half my songs are about fatherhood and the lessons that I've learned in that, and like
being a centaur,
love, regret and stuff like that. So I think there definitely has to be, some strong feelings behind it. I mean, there is definitely, I call it caveman hardcore, or just like beatdown, where it's just like, it's just some fun bullshit to swing your fist to. But at the end of the day, like, there's not much substance behind some of it.
I don't think it would be like, it comes across as honest though. And I feel like people wouldn't get into it as much as they do if it wasn't, you know what I mean? Because you can tell you're not faking it. You're not you're out there preaching it. You believe it. You can see it in your live videos. As you're going, everyone's as into it and as passionate about it as you guys are.
Oh, thank you. I'm like, sincerely, I'm glad that shines through. I mean, that's a flavor of any type of music that I always gravitated towards, even as a young kid, like listening in our house to like pop and stuff like. Tracy Chapman, and like I always love shit that just came from heartache and
it's
struggle.
emotion,
Yeah, man. Like I always felt that, and then like wherever my musical journey took me throughout like my teenage years and young adulthood and stuff, like that's always what I authentically gravitated more towards anyway, was stuff that made me feel something, because I know that the people singing or saying these things believed in what they were saying. And then it was almost like, for my experience, insert blank into the songs, right? And you can really liken it upon yourself, right? So it does mean a lot to me that people can have that same experience from the words that I write. So yeah.
Kind of going back to, we were talking about you just like writing the guitar and then sending it over, and then we kind of doing the rest and everything. Do you kind of just noodle? You said you're playing guitar anyways. Do you just kind of noodle around and then find something you like, or?
Pretty much, yeah. Mike writes a lot of it too. Like this last EP was, I feel like, a good 50-50 chunk of guitar, like who wrote who. But like pretty much I'll just be playing all the time, and then I'll send it over to Mike, and then those guys are insane. Mike and Nick can turn something out of nothing in like 20 minutes. It's absurd. Like we wrote the helm. Like Nick actually sent us the idea of the helm, and then that was put together in probably like one afternoon, and then Jake came with lyrics like pretty much ready. Like it was done.
Came together so
honestly, I feel like this common thread between interviewing people and my own experiences, a lot of the best songs and music come like that. They just out of nowhere. They just come quick. Yeah. And you're like, where the fuck did that come from?
Right.
Rick Rubin kind of describes it as like all the ideas and everything are like on a conveyor belt, and we just choose when we want to grab something off of it. Yeah. So it's like, oh, that was a good one, and you just grab that out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Boom, the helm.
No, and I mean, our writing process, like some of our songs have started off as just like a simple 2 or 3 chord progression that, Cody was just strumming at, and then like it sparked a flame in somebody else, and then it all just, the inertia started to steamroll and like just created this big song before we knew it. So I'd say that's the majority about how our songs come to
together.
be. And also like lyrically in the content, I'm always very clear up front. Like when I first hear the song or any part of it, I usually get some sense of where I want to go with it, even if it's just a certain emotion. And there's a lot of clarity between us in the writing process too. Like one song that we've pulled back that we're actually going to base a whole new release around is one of Cody's. And I told him it's like, it's a pretty heartbreaking song. So like the more melancholy, the better in it. And that's definitely the way that like the demos have gone with it. So, I think there is something to be said that like sonically how that music aligns with, the lyrical content too, is what we try to align with as well.
So when you're getting the music from them, and do you just kind of listen through it once and just kind of digest it first, or do you already have, set of lyrics or ideas set aside that you can kind of just...
a little bit of both. Sometimes it totally just strikes me in the moment.
Yeah.
Like I'll have thoughts on my mind, be thinking about, certain life experiences or things that I want to say, and even just a nice little tasty riff will just tickle me in the right area, man, and I just run with it. Like that's how I'd say like at least half of our songs come to be, is like I just listen, I keep my mind open and stay inspired in the moment, and I start with just a few simple words, like in essence what I'm thinking about or what this makes me feel, and then start to build out from there.
Do you often find yourself doing the kind of like where you just say jumbled up random words and then kind of put lyric?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. A lot of people
the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
find it that way. Yeah.
California duck to steal your luck. Yeah, no, for sure. Where you want to get a vocal cadence down to it too, the vocal melody and anything else that would go in there, then build it up from there. And like, yeah, I'll build up that gibberish just around the 1 or 2 key phrases that already came to my mind and start to build out from there. So, yeah.
So do you find with you guys recording yourselves and doing the DIY things and being it where it's like there's no time restraints, we can take as long as we want, we can do as much, does that limit you sometimes? Does that create writer's block? Because you're like, oh, we could keep editing this forever. When is it actually done? Mm-hmm. Do you ever have that problem, or are you just guys all like, oh, no, it's done, we're good? Or you just have one of the band members just sit there and like obsess over it?
I feel like right now we have set some deadlines and some goals for 2023 and stuff, but like I'm not sure what.
Well, I mean, yeah, it can. It definitely can. I mean, at the close, we started writing and demoing this June, May or June.
That's quick turnaround, though.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It definitely is. But what you got to remember is every time that we get together and jam is at Nick's studio. So a lot of times we're laying down more demos, and I'm going and throwing in scratch demo vocals too. So the amount of revisions that we have in our shared Google Drive right now would be
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the Helm
yeah.
1.0, 1.9, 2.1.
Final 2.
Final,
Final
dude,
3.
We have.
Final
we have.
3.5.
Final 3.5. Nothing
Oh,
but
the
hits.
producers are just laughing at that one right there.
Yeah.
They know what we're saying.
Yeah.
Inside baseball.
So, and anybody can bring up a revision idea. I mean, I've had revision ideas from Cody, from Mike, from Nick, where
Okay,
next
so
time
it's
we get
very,
together,
it's very
yeah,
democratic.
yeah.
It's not.
It's
yeah.
some give and take. I mean, I've definitely had to push back and hold my own. Like, you guys, I fucking promise this is gonna work. I promise. Just trust in me. But yeah, no, it's very democratic. It's not
Very
It's not
open.
some dictatorship of like, I'm the front man and what I say goes. Like, I want it to be agreeable and somewhat representative of all of us, whether, I mean, not all of us have the same life experiences, but
Right. All
if
come
we
from
can all
different
back
spots.
the
Yeah.
message right behind what we're saying and doing, then that's going to make everybody's buy-in a lot more. Like, I don't think that always has to come from the vocalist on stage, that the energy and the passion and whatnot, like that can be felt from everyone. Like,
Right. Yeah.
we've all seen bands where the guitarist, bassist face away from the crowd, and are you just totally phoning it in? And not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I played in a band once, and I won't say who and what band, but we had a bassist that
If you know,
after
you know.
probably 2 years, he knows who he is. Actually, told me, I don't have any idea what any of our lyrics are, what they're about. So we were driving down to like Vegas or St. George to play a show, and I said it out loud, and I made him take notes and write it in his journal for like 4.5 hour drive. Because I'm like, that's unacceptable, man.
Yeah.
Like if we're not all unified behind
The message. Yeah.
and the ideas, like
What's the point?
you're
Yeah.
just plucking strings on a board for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
I agree.
And then that's it. Full stop. Cut
it.
Good podcast, guys. I feel like to have, or you see the most successful bands, they're more open and sharing, and it's tough with ideas when you're writing and stuff, because I know you guys could probably attest to this as well, but like our communication is so limited. So if you're like, oh, maybe if we tried this or whatever else, but you're like, oh, that sounds dumb. But it's like, well, if you just are open to try it, maybe it actually sounds a
Yeah.
lot better, because our words are so limited, and just me saying whatever this is, no, this like this part, this is cool. But if you actually try it, you're like, oh, actually, no, that is cool.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
I was just gonna say, like, going back to, I don't know, I don't remember who it was, but we were talking about, like, everyone has their own like drum lingo, so everyone's trying to like mouth the drum parts, and like, no one has any
it's
idea.
like
what
it's
they're
like, dude, God,
Right.
No, you're
And
not playing it right.
I'm the least technically savvy and like have very little like musical theory knowledge. Like, I learned how to play sheet music to bass like more than half a lifetime ago. Like, I have no idea. So to explain the rudiments and things that are going on, I'm like, no, dude, when you're like wham wham wham, he's like, you know, on the
I
rib,
said
like
paradiddle, motherfucker.
right. They're like, oh, is this 4/5? What type of augmented timing is this? I'm like, it
Yes.
sounds like boom bap bap.
Yes.
You know.
Halftime.
But I know the sounds that I like, so I try
And I
my
don't like
best to
that.
explain it. And then you have someone like Cody that can tell you all of his arpeggios, and I don't even know what that word means.
I think it's something
a
that
nerd.
delivers water.
Sounds like
Pretty
it.
sure. Yeah, aqueduct.
Aqueduct. Oh, Aristocats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. The Disney movie. Yeah, Aristocats.
Oh yeah, they sing about arpeggios. That's where I got it from. And they're walking on little.
Look
on
at us
piano
bringing
keys.
shit around, guys.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Great.
Centaurs. Call back.
Yeah.
So you kind of spoke about starting with bass and learning sheet music, how did you guys each get your start then? And then I guess to tie it together, how did you guys end up all kind of coming together?
Yeah. No, I'll start. I mean, so my music, it'd be so condescending to call it career, hobby, started late junior high or so, 2003 or 4. I remember I was an early pop punk mall emo kid, so like
that's when it was popping.
dude, early from
Studded
First
belts.
Taking Back Sunday, the starting
Dickies.
oh yeah, dude, Dickies.
Spiked hair.
Yeah, what were the shoes? The Macbeth shoes.
DC, all that.
DC.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
Macbeth
okay.
because Macbeth was the real cool one.
Because the Blink-182 dudes like peddled that shit,
Yep.
so everybody knew about
Isn't
it.
that like his own brand?
I think so.
Yeah, that's why they peddled their
Yeah,
own.
vegan shoes. Back when we didn't even know what vegan was, I was like, yeah, I have vegan shoes. But
It's like gluten free.
so that's where it started. I mean, I had a friend that played guitar, and
Of course, you got to start a band.
You got to,
you
man.
know some power chords. Let's start a band.
and surprisingly, so many people identify with me when I say this. But what actually got me to play bass was watching School of Rock in the movie
Hell yeah.
theater.
Yep.
Like, I'm sure almost everyone here can attest to that to some degree. And Mike in our band said the same thing. Like,
Yeah. It was huge because it wasn't. I don't know if you guys know the band Dead Poet Society at all, but we had them on here, and he was saying the same thing, School of Rock as well. But it's like, it's not just because it came out in our era and everything else, but it was like, oh, these are kids that are our age,
Yes.
and they're doing it. So if they can do it, we can do it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That was my first like lesson in DIY. You just pick it up and figure it out, and you do the damn thing, man.
Do it.
You do it. Like, these
YouTube
kids
before
figured it
ads.
out and lied to their parents about it. But that really was it. I got my first cheap bass that next Christmas, a couple months later, and we started jamming. And from there, it took a couple years, but we formed our first band, and we were called Scene of an Accident, just Silverstein.
Yeah, that's pop punk.
Just rip-off band through and through. And I played bass, and I would do the screams here and there to back up the vocals. And I mean, I'm a Provo kid through and through. Like, we played Muse, Velour, Starry Night.
The original Muse.
Yeah, the original. Exactly, man. That tiny little stage in the corner. Like, that's where we cut our teeth. From there, got a little bit into more heavy, aggressive music towards the end of high school.
Did you find as you're kind of going along too with each band, your roles as vocalists kind of keep coming more and more and more?
Yeah. No, I'm glad you say that. I remember, even though I maybe contributed 25-30% of the vocals in that first band, I had several people tell me, I don't care that you're not the lead singer, you're the front man. Several people told me that.
Yeah.
And we actually had a song where I took off my bass and I just did vocals the whole time. And
Everyone's like, why'd you just do that?
Yeah, that felt really, really good. And the band I joined after this band, when we abruptly broke up, was because they were at that show. They're like, oh, you should just come do that with us all the time.
That's how it always happens, isn't it? Yeah, one friend of another, someone knows somebody.
Exactly, right. So then, from there, I joined that. We were called Decima. We were this terrible metalcore beatdown band. This was like between 2006 and 9.
MySpace.
Oh yeah, dude, MySpace was it. We played every show with like the same handful of bands. It was Hermione, Chelsea Grin, Fire in the Skies, just like the same.
I remember
just
that.
group
Yeah,
of
Fire in the
friends,
Skies.
dude.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
Dude. Just same bands over and over. You just like, it's almost like you just like put it in a hopper, turn it, and then like that's the new lineup for the next show.
That was the
scene.
Yeah,
Dude.
Which is cool though, because at that point, we had phones, but they weren't what they are today.
No, not at all.
They weren't, so maybe people brought their phones out to take a crappy picture or whatever, but I feel like people were way more engaged in those days.
Oh, for sure.
And the scene was much more tight because it's like, what else are you going to go do?
Yeah.
There's no Netflix. There's a video store. You're going to go out and see your buddies play.
Yeah,
you know?
your options are a little bit limited. Or maybe they were all there, but you had no sense of where all that was. Like,
but also the other thing too with the cool, I guess I had the thought come in my brain, that's as that music was starting. That was like the ground zero of that. So it was fresh and exciting.
Of that
wave,
was
brand new. Yeah. All that. That's when it kind of started all this.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could argue Deftones and stuff, but it's like, you know, that's when it's really starting to come to the forefront and get more popular.
Right.
I feel like so it was even more exciting.
Exactly, being more digestible to the masses and stuff like that, and more widely accepted. And then from there, we kind of fizzled out, and Provo was having this big boom with like, really, a lot of people don't believe this. Like Provo had its own DIY like roots hardcore scene with bands like Parallax, Railspike, Bullshit Authority, Malcontent, Youth Descent, and then eventually a lot of those dudes that I've known from past projects started a band called Despite Despair, and I joined that a little over a year into them being a band. They asked me to come be in that. I was in that for a couple years. That's where I got to meet and be part of the scene with like Mike, our guitarist. That's where I met Nick, everybody else. So that was, 2009, 10 or so a little bit ago.
So you could say the roots then are back all the way back then.
And all of our bands played together. I mean, Nick was playing in Chained Down. Tyson and Mike were playing in a band called Hitchhiker. And that's how we all got to know each other. And then me and my wife had our first son a couple years later after we got married. Yeah, baby Centaur.
I'm sorry, I don't let jokes die.
BBC, baby Centaur.
Nice.
So I stepped away from music for a little bit, and probably for the last like 8-10 years, Mike had been just stalking my Instagram, my Facebook, and on every post just writing, start a band. Little did I know until a couple years ago, he actually meant he wanted to start a band with me. And if I would have known that, I would have jumped on it immediately. So, that's how we got to here. I mean, it was in the middle of the pandemic. Mike hit me up and said, hey, man, I've been sitting on these songs for a while, and it doesn't necessarily fit with Mandalore. It doesn't fit with Cool Your Jets, this other band he'd been playing with. I'm feeling like a new project, and I would really love to run them by you. Loved it right away. Melodic hardcore, like the stuff I
just
loved
clicked
growing
right
up.
away.
Just it was. I even wrote lyrics to the first 2 songs that you sent me like that night. Like it just hit me in just that way. That was Breathe New Life and Crayola Oblongata on our first release. I wrote that first night. And I'd been friends with Nick for a little bit, but I knew he'd been playing in so many bands. Like he'd been touring the world with what's the dude from the Misfits again? Michael Graves. He had been touring with Victim and None, his other like crossover thrash band. I'm like, hey man, would you be open to at least jamming with us? We got together and it clicked just the first night. That was it, dude. And like for the first 6 months of that band, it was just the 3 of us writing and recording everything. Yeah.
But you guys are like not playing shows. No, just working on writing.
We knew we needed a full lineup fleshed out, but we actually wrote and recorded the first full EP, just the 3 of us.
Okay.
It was just us, and I think
without even playing a show, right? Yeah.
So I think the time that we put into like the pre-production, the demoing, everything shone through. Like one of the best compliments we've ever been given about that release and us playing our first show. Is from our friend Dan Fletcher. Said like, you guys came out like already baked out of the oven. Like it's kind of unfair to a lot of these other hardcore bands in the scene that really had to cut their teeth and grow and
get their legs.
And yeah, exactly. Because like not only had Mike been sitting on these tracks for so long, but like all the pieces started to fall into place. And then I'll let Cody cover his story and how he came to be with us, but that's where I leave you boys.
Come back to that, but I guess it's the baked out of the oven. You guys had already had all the experience. You already had done you've already been through the trenches with the other bands and doing that for how many years? So it's not like you were like you're a brand new band, but you guys were all experienced. So that's why it comes across as like polished and new. You're like, I've already done this for 10 years, man.
And
I know what I'm doing.
Everything was very methodical. Everything was very planned out. I mean, me and Mike have kids. We're married. Nick's married, has a career.
I think that adds a seriousness to it, though. You're like, let's not fuck around. Let's
exactly.
get to it.
The time we have together is very structured and thought out. And we don't have that time to just screw around.
Let's get to it.
Everything has a purpose in what we do. And I mean, we have fun and party. I guess you could call it a party. I mean, no, that's really party.
We party with Mountain Dew.
chug some Diet Crispy Boys on stage, But yeah, the time always comes first because it's precious to us. Like, dude, we really only jam maybe once, twice a month. Other than that, it's us all practicing individually and continuing to demo and send things back and expand on ideas over group chats and stuff like that. So it definitely made us make the very most of our time, both the experience and some of the time constraint too.
Yeah. And I guess kind of going back to your story then, and you want to kind of just talk about how you started with Absolved, and then we can go back to when you started playing guitar and all that.
Yeah, so I was in an old pop punk band called Untamed Engine. They're in Spanish Fork, and
How long was that band going for?
they were a band for like 6 years, but I was only in it for the last like part of it. I recorded their last like 2 songs with them, and that's with Nick, our drummer.
Oh, okay.
And when I recorded with them, I just talked about hardcore and kind of just like
Not pop punk.
well, I mean, just like not even that, just like the roots of like punk and stuff in general. You know what I mean? More of like it being a lifestyle and not a genre. And then just I'm a nerd, and so I don't know. I just ended up being asked to join Absolved, and I was down like right away and as soon as I met them, I was like, okay, yeah, these guys know what they're talking about, and they're legit, and actually are true to like what to me punk is, which is just like it's a lifestyle. It's not it's not a genre.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I don't know. I feel very happy and lucky to be a part of it, but it's just kind of just all fell into place.
It seems like all the band members and everything you're seeing, just everyone coming in, it just felt right and just kind of clicked.
Yeah. And he's downplaying it a little bit. I'll fluff him up a bit.
Fluff it. Do it fluffy.
Nick was blown away to find out that like Cody had only been in that band not that long, was the newest member, and like one of the first ones to be laying down the guitar tracks and just slaying it.
You actually can play to the click
First
and
note.
do your job.
Yeah, man. Like, just got that shit done and was just so solid at it. And I think he even asked you just a day or two later, like, hey, man, if you feel like you have time, come jam with us because we need someone solid like you. So
just needed to discover the last piece, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped about it. I'm really lucky.
So we can cut this out if you want, but was the other band kind of upset that you were joining them?
Nah, they're all cool with it. Our other guitar player, or our old guitar player's in a band called Hellbrook Drive that Nick also recorded, and they're killing it and doing really well.
Cool. So it was like it's like all cool.
There's other people doing other things that came out of it, and I think it's better.
And how long did you guys break up after you came on? It wasn't that long.
Only like 6 monts. Like
it was quick.
Yeah, like I played their like last couple shows, and then we recorded their last 2 songs, and that was it. I was supposed to be an Absolved.
Yeah, I mean, it happens for a reason, right? It came together for a reason, and it took the time that it did, to get
wild.
where it is.
Yeah, everything adds up. It's crazy.
Don't get Cody started on serendipitous like coincidences.
Okay, I won't.
He wants to. That was a bump set spike for him.
It was a softball. Hit the home run.
Oh, it all freaking adds up. Even Narc. So we're playing a show with Narc, and their release just came out like 2 days ago at the same time as they have a video on Hate 56 came out the same day. Serendipity.
Yeah.
So cool. Everything adds up. Yeah.
I feel like that to an aspect as well. I guess kind of going back to when you started with music, what was the spark for you? Also School of Rock?
No, like
Schoolhouse Rock.
I've been kind of into like alternative like culture, I guess, like my whole life. So like I was thinking about this the other day. My sister's like a poet.
That's awesome.
And so she wrote this poem called...
Older or younger, sorry?
She's older than me by like 2.5 years. And she wrote this poem when I was like 8 called like Have You Ever, which is basically like, have you ever felt like shit? But it came from like a 10-year-old. And like my parents were really hyped on that for some reason. And then I just...
In a positive way?
Okay,
yeah. I was like, good, that's
just
good.
like in like a form of like self-expression. And then that just kind of clicked with me. So like from like a really early age, I just kind of understood like art as like a form of self-expression. And then I started skating. With that comes like punk and stuff like that.
Of course it does, yeah. Hand in hand.
And yeah, just like I started relating to the lyrics and stuff a lot more. My brother died when I was like 14. So like I just kind of like would go to as many shows as I possibly could from like 14 to whenever. I used to sneak into 7 Second Sunset shows back when we were like 15. Just because I was trying to go to as many shows as possible. And then, yeah, just around that time I started playing guitar and would jam with people, but was never in anything serious. Just would jam and just kept practicing guitar and stuff. And that's where we ended up, like, years down the road, just going to lots of shows. And
what was your first guitar?
It was a Epiphone Special 2.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was bad.
What was your bass bad too?
Yeah, my first one was a Silvertone, but then my next one I saved for so long, and I got an Ernie Ball Music Man.
Oh, yeah.
That's nice.
What an upgrade from that.
Dude,
yeah.
And then I got stolen by a band called Bring on the Night. And I'll say it right here in front of God and all these witnesses, because I don't think any of them are around anymore. But their bass is stolen and moved to Elko.
Bring on the night, bring back the bass.
Yeah, bring back the bass. Cody demands it, and he's ready to fight you for it.
Bring on the knuckles. I was gonna say, because I mean, you have always hung out, and we've always been in the same friend groups, and we kind of just intermingle. And I remember taking hikes with you, and we'd go. You remember up, was it Little Cottonwood or whatever?
I almost died.
Yeah,
there was this really.
Was it the time I was there?
Yeah, there's this really gnarly waterfall that we have to cross, and I just was not brave enough to do it. And I just stayed there frozen until I eventually crossed the waterfall.
Wait, you
I
said
don't
you were
remember
frozen
that.
in the waterfall?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
They tried to kill me. I Captured Castle tried to kill me in 2013.
Should have known.
I captured Cody.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry. I don't remember that. I remember having a good time. But I don't remember that. Fuck.
I feel like we're just calling everybody out on this.
Yeah, we're bumming out. Yeah.
The hiking, though, right?
Yeah.
That's what I remember. Yeah, we would just all kick it and stuff for a long, long time.
So at what point did you were jamming around and were you like, I want to get into a band and like take it serious? And
well, I always wanted to play
playing.
music and stuff, but then it just didn't happen. 2020, I felt like it wasn't going to happen though, because I don't know, just everyone stopped playing shows.
For the pandemic, yeah.
Yeah, so I was just really worried that I was getting older, and I turned 25, and that made me nervous. And then I just decided to really, really, really go hard and just messaging everybody that I could to try to join a band or start a band or anything, and made it like a goal, made it my intention, and that's when I joined Untamed Engine, and that was just really, really fast. It was super, super fast. It's crazy. I don't want to talk about how long, it's absurd, like how many things like add up together.
Dominoes.
For us to be here right now, it's crazy.
I feel like that's something that I feel like I've always said though, where it's like the click in your brain, where it's like, if you're saying I'm gonna do this and this is what I'm putting out into the world and I'm trying to talk to other people and network and then things are gonna happen. But if you don't tell anybody you want to be in a band, you're just sitting at home or whatever else, of course nothing's gonna happen because you didn't tell anybody. You got to communicate to other people, and then things just start to happen if you just start trying and actually putting it. I feel like unfortunately a lot of people fail because they're not willing to try.
Well, that's my combination of my two favorite like credos to live by is like, what you focus on will increase, and just fucking ask for what you want. Just ask. Like no one's gonna read your mind.
Exactly.
Make it known. Right.
I feel I mean, and especially if you're just like focusing on living in the now and being like, as long as I'm better today than I was yesterday, that's what matters. That's the progression, instead of getting hung up on like comparison, the thief of joy, like trying to be like, oh, look how famous these guys are, oh, I should be where they are, like I'm not as good as them. Put that to the side and just focus on what you're doing, because everyone's completely different. You got your own path to go down.
Yeah, like I'm really excited about our new song Thrill House, just because the lyrics on that is kind of like what we're talking about right now.
Okay. I was gonna say, I love the ending of that one. I love that you guys chose to end that with the beat. That's Beach Boys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of made me giggle, because it's like, oh, okay. Not only are they like a serious band, but they also can have fun with it and take it. Yeah. It's a nice little ending to it, I think.
Shout out my wife Courtney. Her idea.
Was that her idea?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
We were
I love
listening
that.
to it, and she's like, "You should like snag a lo-fi version of this, it would be perfect. Because I was actually thinking of a fun way to end that new record, and I love just dissonant, scratchy, old like records and stuff, and yeah, it worked perfect. I actually texted the band while we were on the car ride listening to it.
Was it one of those like,
settled.
Dude, we should do this.
We're doing this. And everyone's like, oh, all right.
And they just loaded in real quick.
No, yeah, it just worked out. Yep.
It all happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the lyrics on that, like Jake could probably talk about it a lot more. It means a lot to me because it's basically like not being afraid to like live your dreams kind of thing, is what it seems like to me.
Like heart on the sleeve.
Yeah,
I think so.
Like that's kind of what we were talking about, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So that's where I feel like we all agree on like pretty much everything. There's not a lot of like arguments or anything of like music taste or lyrics or anything. It
comes across, like I said, like it's just so
insane.
cohesive. So it makes sense that you're all on the same page. Like it's a clear message.
Yeah. It just comes down to communication, man. We over communicate everything, you know, and Mike and Nick can tell you that they've been in bands with vocalists that do not even show up to practice.
Yeah, I've been in those.
Why do I need to,
You've witnessed that.
Why do I need to be there? You know, like
yeah, it's like we're paying. Yeah, it's like why did we even show up?
Yeah, I mean
We're doing our
we
part.
literally showed up for even the studio session time that wasn't even my own. Like for Mike to reamp his guitar, I felt it was important for me and everyone to be there. Like be cohesive and be there supportive every step of the way. Because like at the end of the day, when that product and those songs are out into the ether, like you know you were there every step of the way.
Yes,
And like this is a part of all of us. It wasn't just oh yeah, I remember that time that I showed up for 2 hours and did a half-ass job.
Looked at your
yeah,
phone.
dude.
Yeah.
No, we were there every step of the way together. So.
Dude, yeah, I mean, just even from this conversation and talking with you guys, I can just tell for sure that something that I've kind of lived my life by. If you're not your own biggest fan of your art and what you're doing, then what's the point?
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you being like, oh, I want to be there. I want to be there when they're doing this because this is cool. This is we're making this together, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Versus I've also been in groups and witnessed other things where it's like, I don't have to be here today. I don't want to be there. I don't care. Like do your thing, and then I'll come in when I'm needed.
And I think
it comes across that way in the music.
There's some FOMO that comes into it too. That fear of missing out. Of like, well, I don't want to miss any fun shit either. Like, what if some fun memory happens?
It's because you care.
Right.
It's because you care. Yeah.
To be part of it. I also like, as a humble brag, want to be like, I was there for every note. You know, from like start to release. Like, we see it like as our baby. Like that's something that, especially with hardcore, like with how vulnerable it is. Like I'm actually opening myself up with like my feelings and my ideas and stuff. So like anything else I can do to be more bought into that and get these fellas bought into, the better. Because it comes back to we all have to be unified and under that same banner. So under the banner of heaven.
Kind of going back to your guys' live shows. I mean, I've seen those live footage that you guys have out there. You see all the cool photos you guys always have and the energy, and we've talked about that already. The kind of emphasis of the podcast is funny and bad show and tour stories. So I was just kind of curious if y'all have any kind of interesting show stories.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, where do I begin?
I know you had a good one recently. I don't want to speak for you, where they made you start like right on time.
The Untamed Engine one. So the last Untamed Engine show, like we literally had to start at the time doors opened, and we played to nobody. That was kind of cool. But we donate a lot of the toys to. It was a good show.
I think that's a rite of passage. Every band needs to basically have the shows where it's just a glorified jam session for you and the other bands that are there. Like,
there was lights.
You're playing with each
there
other.
Were lights. Yeah. Hey, it was a production show.
Yeah.
It was production practice. Yeah, we were making sure everything was good.
A show I played. a while ago. So end of high school, so probably at 2008 or so. We booked shows at Pier 49 Pizza in Springville.
Pizza joints. Dude, there is a through line with everyone in this podcast. They had a
Seriously?
bad pizza show.
Pizza shows, dude.
We
Was
had
it
a good
out
one.
once?
What?
Was it inside or was it right out on their like patio area?
Inside.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've ever
So the
been there.
tables are people sitting there eating.
Well, no. So I don't think there was anyone in there eating pizza. It was at night. But
Oh,
like,
okay.
They have
After
like these big wooden pillars everywhere, and like everyone just like pushed all of the chairs and seats everywhere. But yeah, we had booked some shows there, and so it's in Spanish Fork, or no, Payson. No, where is it? Springville. What am I saying?
They look the same.
Growing up in Pleasant Grove, anything south of Provo is the same thing. But yeah, in Springville, and
It's for those that don't know, it's kind of like the that you're talking about, the one. It's kind of like an old school strip, like the main street. So it's old building, brick
Yep.
building, wood pillars, very
old place.
Yeah, like the floors creak when you
Yep,
walk.
yep. It was next to the old like Albertsons or Allen's that
Yeah.
was grocery store right there, and yeah, we booked a show there, and there was just a lot of redneck hicks there that night. A lot of like FFA kids in their jackets with skull packed in their lip.
Doing these.
Yeah, just looking to start a fight, man. And it's just like, I know with like aggressive music and hardcore, what we do at shows can seem violent. And I definitely think there's a difference between like chaos and danger, but not necessarily violence. Like
Right.
what we're doing at these shows is, believe it or not, like very much agreed upon, and there's unspoken rules to the chaos, right? And these dudes were just
Not even
not having it.
Yeah.
And my buddy Alex he lived in Springville, so went to that high school there and knew a lot of these kids. And one of the kids, after my set, we were watching Fire in the Skies, actually.
Oh,
That's
wow.
funny that
Yeah.
we said that earlier. Or was it them? I don't know. We'll just say it was them.
Serendipity.
One of the drunk hicks didn't like my friend Alex, so thought it'd be a good idea to punch me about it. So,
Oh man.
dude, I just got done playing a good set, and like kids coming up like, "Oh, good job!
Yeah,
that
you're
was so
feeling
much
good
fun."
about it. Yeah.
And then this kid starts squaring off at me.
He just clocked you out of nowhere.
Yeah, so I
Not
don't know if
even
you
like
can see
words
this eye's
before?
permanently red, and like it's kind of lazy too. It's permanently damaged from how hard this hick punched me, dude.
Out of
Like,
nowhere.
Out of nowhere, just pop. Yeah. Yeah, that's the story, guys. You can laugh now.
Oh man.
But yeah, it was like
Wait, so he just continually, like, it wasn't just one punch. He
no,
just
it was
kept
one
going.
and done. I like on Harry Potter where Neville goes like straight as a board. Like, that's what I did. I fell straight back onto the splintered wood floor, just like
How did
I was
everyone
still
else
a big
react
kid,
to
smaller
it?
than what I am now, but definitely bigger than that kid.
Right.
Yeah, people just gathered around me, and I came out of like
No
the
one
fuzzy
attacked
tunnel
him?
vision. No, just like
He just
they were
went
all
away.
his friends there. Yeah. So then like some guy grabbed me like I was going to fight back, and I thought it was the kid because I was coming out of it. So I start elbowing this
throwing
person
bows.
behind me, and it's just this sweet middle-aged guy trying to like keep me safe. But yeah, the police came. There was a police officer there. So he called in folks to come and take care of this. And I go, "Do you want to press charges on this young man?" I'm like, "I ain't no fucking rat." You know? I don't want to talk to the cops. Even at 17, I knew that.
Snitches get stitches.
Yeah,
man.
dude. I'm like, "No, I'm good." He's like, "Well, let me check your ID." He's like, "Homie's underaged." Me. That homie was 19 and punched a child. So got charged with child abuse.
Oh
That was the
shit.
cop was there because he's like, "Dude, you're not of legal age. You can't legally like consent to me not pressing charges on your behalf."
Oh, so he just did it.
He did it, and he was drunk, and I guess that paraphernalia and other charges. So
Damn.
he got taken away, and this actually plays into a funny story. A few weeks later, some of my older, much bigger, hardcore straight edge friends found out who this dude was. called him and was like, hey man, how about like a fair fight? And he's like, yeah, come to the next show at Pier 49 and me and my hick buddies will teach you guys, we'll really give you the business, get you under our thumbs, you know? So,
Dude, the nightlife of this pizza place.
yeah, man.
Whoa.
I never knew this existed.
Like, could you imagine
Fucking
like
Fight Club.
Dateline NBC, like what seemed to be a small suburban Mormon town, Fight Club.
Pier 49.
So
Not just a pizza
not
place.
just where the sauce is made of blood. And so it was supposed to be like some big event, like just full out brawl Donnybrook that was gonna happen
Green Street
there.
hooligans.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Like, and I actually was going on vacation, so I wasn't there. But kids from Salt Lake, Ogden, Logan, St. George showed up
On your
for me.
behalf.
On my behalf. They're like, you remember Sweet Jacob that would never hurt a fly? Somebody beat the shit out of him. We need to come protect
no
his honor."
reason.
Yeah, dude. So they all showed up. This room was just packed of like hardcore kids eating pizza and like clenching their fists, dude. And
Some with pizza and the fist.
yeah, I guess what had happened was FFA boy and his crew of toadies came up and looked in the front window and saw how many kids were there and ran back to their little jacked up truck, and people followed them outside and they're like, we don't want any part of this, like their voice probably came down a couple octaves. But that's a really roundabout way to tell you one of the worst shows I've ever played is when I got knocked out cold. But restitution was had, so rest assured. But my vision is still blurry every morning, and this I get people asking me if I'm high all the time because it's usually pretty
That
red.
sucks.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dude. And it sucks too because it's like, it's not like it's not like, oh, I deserved it,
Yeah.
though, or I was starting the fight. It's like
No.
out of nowhere, just clocked you. That's what sucks.
Because he didn't like my friend, which he would have been better off hitting my friend. My friend was smaller than me. He was smaller than me, like smaller than Cody here, young sweet Cody. Like he could have like blasted him across the room.
But instead, he goes for you.
Yeah, like 225-pound 17-year-old me.
I think his thought was, I mean, I guess he was probably high and whatever else, but he's like, if I hit him, he's going to hit me. So if I take care of him first.
Oh yeah. Hey,
I guess I'm giving him
For
more
another
credit. I'm
episode.
probably giving him more
Yeah.
credit than he's
I don't think he
than
was
due.
thinking. You're thinking
No.
like 3D chess,
Yeah.
dude. This kid probably couldn't even play checkers.
Couldn't even work
Yeah.
off Microsoft Paint.
But a close second show would be, I hated so bad. I played in high school 2 talent shows with our bands, and like those are just the worst, man.
In the pop punk, like the
Yeah,
punk,
my first
Okay.
band, they were so bad, man. I remember there was
Silvertone.
Yeah, Silvertone and Epiphone classics, But yeah, we played this talent show, and after this,
Covers, originals,
no, just originals. So
Oh,
we
cool.
were getting up there,
2-3 songs.
yeah, just blasting our hearts out, singing the most
Breakup
emo
songs.
breakup shit ever, a heartbreak. And then this kid got up and played drums with like this Megadeth cover band called Tornado of Souls with like 60-year-old rockers that are like, man, back in '82, I ran this town. And so many people booed them after their set that every single one of them and their old ass wives came up and started calling us all like emo pussies and like dropping hard F's at us. Yeah. For just playing our music because people
Listen
didn't
here,
like this.
Tornado of Souls.
Yeah. Jeez. So yeah, not only did I hate playing talent shows because it's like, it's so objective.
Yes.
Right?
I'm very much against battle of bands and talent shows in general because it's like apples and pears. You can't compare
can't,
art.
dude.
And then also I feel like it can be very detrimental to certain artists because they're like, oh, I lost, I'm not good, I'll give up. You can't. How can you say this is better than that? We're all different at your personal opinion.
Right.
Yeah, just because you thought, Tornadoes of Souls is better than emo music, that doesn't mean the person next to you doesn't think that the other way around.
Right.
It's Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
very
dude.
against Battle of the Bands and that.
Yeah, we got chased out by a bunch of like 56-year-old metalheads that are
Came in
reliving
with
the
a
glories.
tornado.
No, it was bad. These people were getting so irrational. I'm like, they're going to hit 15, 16-year-old children right now.
Yeah,
That's
they
how
probably
upset
were
they
drunk
were.
too.
Yeah, dude.
I'm sick of getting hit with
Yeah.
pizza.
Don't these kids know that the only good music that was ever made so happened to come out when I was in high school?
If you're not wearing spandex, you're not doing it
Yeah.
right.
I went to the Walmart. They were all out of goddamn hairspray. You know? But
Were they? I just want to say, were they dressed up as they're calling you these hard Fs?
yeah, dude.
That's hilarious. What is wrong with people?
Because I mean,
They got high heels on.
yeah, exactly. Like total.
What are you guys?
Like teased up feathered hair and like maybe one of them even had like leopard pants on or
Of
something,
course.
which
Man,
Nice.
they're which is just so funny because it's like, oh, I'm insecure because these kids are doing it and they're already better than me and they're passionate about what they're doing and and then we got booed, so they're just turning their anger and everything else and just projecting it
Yeah.
onto y'all.
yeah, dude. I remember
Thanks, Tornado
they
of
had this
Souls.
shitty little banner that was like this big, and they cut it to make it look like it was distressed. But it was such little ragged, shitty cuts.
But it like in font, Tornado
Yeah,
of Souls.
It was written
Please
like
tell me,
a
was there
tornado.
a clip art of a tornado?
Oh, could have been.
And there's some ghosts floating around it.
Clip art. It said like Getty Images on the side. But
I couldn't get it off, guys. I'm sorry.
they had it on ropes, and they had them rig it to the top of this big ass stage across the
For a
curtains.
high school talent show.
Yeah, dude. So like this curtain's like 100 feet wide, and they're like, "Tornado with souls incoming." You know, you guys better get ready for the carnage as they're pulling it up.
Was it as big as that one? Or
Smaller, dude.
Smaller.
Way smaller. Way smaller.
And it's an auditorium stage,
Yeah.
right? Which
Yeah.
are massive.
Yeah,
So they
even that
maybe
was-
started with that size, but then started cutting it up like we want to look battle-born. Like we've seen it all. We've
One of the
totally-
wives is underneath it with the fan as it's
Yeah.
blowing. Tornado!
Yeah, dude. Exactly. So, I don't know what they were expecting to happen. Were they expecting 13 to 16-year-old kids to be like, life will never get better than this set here right now. I need to join how do I get in with the tornado of souls? How do I join this tornado and really get things moving?
I brush my
Shit, a few
teeth to
more
Tornado
dollars to
Souls.
really
That's gotta
That's
be
amazing.
one of the worst, man.
Wait, so I guess we kind of skipped over it. They chased you guys out?
Oh, yeah. Not like, it was very, very hostile.
So, like, you're loading your gear out of the show?
Yeah, that's where they approached us and started yelling all this shit to us.
And you played after them or
Before they
that?
played after. We got cheers and friends showed up to watch us.
And as you're loading out, they're like just catcalling you
Yeah,
and insulting for no reason.
Yeah.
You didn't even have a word of dialogue or anything
No.
beforehand. They're just as you're loading out, just being rude.
Yeah, people didn't like them, so they're going to lash out at everybody else.
I guess that's kind of the older mentality, or maybe that was that, and maybe more so in the 80s, where it's like, it's competition. Every one of us, it's either me or you.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's
Cutthroat.
That, yeah. The very, like, which is just insane way of thinking about things. Like, it's my fan. We can't share fans. We can't benefit.
No.
We can't be friends. I'm not, yeah, the whole, like, I mean, the original name of the podcast was Six Set Bro.
Yeah.
Six Set
yeah.
Bro.
Hey, listen, can I use those symbols?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like, well, I didn't even watch you, but like, I'm gonna give you this. Like, that's
So
the same thing. Yeah,
generic,
you
yeah.
guys shred. Yeah, you guys are cool. Yeah, you guys are cool. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like the whole like competition thing.
Six set, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
How many times I've heard that? I'm like, yeah, for you weren't even in here.
Yeah, you weren't even listening.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't care.
Name your favorite song.
Why bother talking to me if you're just gonna be
jeez.
like that? Yeah.
Oh, man.
Name your favorite song.
Well,
you
not
know
even
that
that.
last, the last one.
Yeah.
Like
with
the guitar?
guitars, like the steward in it.
like the breakdown
It's so dumb.
and the China.
But I guess it was easier to get mad at us because like our music was aggressive and was like in the zeitgeist of what was popular at the time. There was a band before us of like fresh-faced looking Zuby Mormon kids, which not a knock against them. I mean, my whole extended family's Mormon, but like
Right, you're
tube
just-
socks pulled up.
Just distinguishing between your guys' band
Right,
and theirs.
and they covered "Go Johnny Go Go Go." Like, who's gonna be mad at them? Like, you in that
You mean Chuck
1950s
Berry?
bubblegum? Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The Chuck
Dude,
Berry
that's
song.
awesome. I love that.
And they actually they wailed on it, dude. It was really good.
So
Like,
it was them, y'all,
us,
and then Tornado
and the
Souls.
tornado incoming.
I wonder if they were expected to be like, we're headlining.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
no,
sure.
we're headlining.
No, yeah, which they don't understand in music now. Like,
Look, man, in 1981, we opened for Warrant. We're headlining.
yeah, you ever heard of White Snake? I went to 3 of their shows.
My cousin dated their drummer.
Yeah. I sold merch for them at the old Saltaire. You know, like,
Look, I have a lot more experience in the music industry. I make banners.
Yeah.
I cut up banners for all the big bands.
hey, that's a good-looking banner. If you need anybody to distress it for you to build urgency, you just let me know.
I'm loving the idea of that somehow somebody hears this like, that's my uncle's band, Tornado Souls, and they tell
It was so long.
reunion tour, Tornado Souls, Springville High,
Oh my gosh.
49 beats.
2024.
Yeah. The tornado's coming for you.
Do you remember what they sounded like?
They played Megadeth covers.
Oh, it was Megadeth. Oh, okay. I was hoping it was
Because I'm pretty sure that's a
hair
Megadeth
metal.
song. But they dressed very hair metal. So, like, it's like, what lane do you want to fit into?
Bon Jovi. Look, Bon Jovi gets the chicks, man.
Yeah. Jeez. Yeah, man. Do you think they
Probably
start
MySpace.
every band with, like, a tornado siren warning?
If they're not that artistic, you're giving them, once again, we're giving people more credit than they
Yeah.
probably do.
I bet people
They
in
actually
their mosh
start
pit just twirl around.
as they play. The tornado movie is in the
yeah,
background.
Twister's playing. Twister's playing.
But it's only the scene of them like driving away from it, like fuck.
Yeah.
Is it on MySpace?
I-
I can't tell you how badly I
MySpace
wish I
has
could
dumped
remember
everything.
my MySpace password. Oh, it's gone.
Everything's gone. I had 2 full bands that only existed on
Sad
MySpace.
face.
All of our music, photos, everything.
It's
totally
gone.
gone.
Yeah, I had
Totally
stuff on
gone.
it too. That's a bummer.
12-year-old Cody's gone
Yeah,
forever.
yeah. My little pixelated photo that was this big. It's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. Dude.
How are you gonna know who my top 8 is?
Yeah.
My coding skills.
That little pixelated picture, I tried to fit like my emo swiped hair into it, my cool shoes, my shirt, try to get everything in like that 8-bit image. Like they need to know exactly
to
who
know.
I am and what I'm about.
Or else.
Yeah. But I don't
The-
know.
the good
Sometimes
old
I get
times.
bummed that I'll just never be as good as Tornado Souls.
Just as like you should the next EP name it that.
Tornado of Souls.
Everyone's like, what the fuck's up with the new EP name?
Yeah, dude. It's made after the greatest cover band in the northern
ever
Utah
lived.
County area.
In the tri-state area.
In the Tri-Counties area, dude.
Kind of going back to the new music, do you kind of have an idea of when it's going to come out? Can we kind of talk about that or little Easter eggs
The
for whoever
B-side
listens?
stuff you were talking about.
Yeah, this year.
Around June we were saying,
Ooh.
hopefully.
To start like demoing it and
Yeah.
really dig into it.
Do you have an idea of like how many songs and everything as well, or?
So we'd like 2 or 3 right now, and we're probably wanting to beef it up to another 4-song release. Like,
Yeah.
the formula is really working for us. So
I mean, that could, yeah, I mean, it'd be a cool
The
little thing. Yeah,
formula.
your thing. Yeah.
Formioli.
And it's all formioli.
there we go.
Ravioli. Give me the formioli. No, that would be cool though, because that could just be your thing. It's like, oh, cool, they got new music, and it's each time is a new 4-song EP.
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
I mean,
No one else I know does that. That's cool.
our
Unique.
friends band Run Into the Sun. They do 2 songs every fiscal quarter, basically, like every
wow.
3-4 months, 2 songs.
What are
And
they,
it's
the
almost
Beatles?
like side A, side B. Like it's almost one
Oh.
cohesive
I was
message.
gonna say, do they do 45s? That'd be cool.
They should. So like, and even like the name of the songs will be like Love, Pain, Cry, Blood.
That's
like
what's their name?
Run Into the Sun.
They're so
Nice little
sick.
shout out.
Yeah.
Love to
Other
check them out.
melodic sort of hardcore in Salt Lake right now. They're basically our sister band,
I
brother
you
band.
play with them all the time.
Oh yeah, they're our boys.
Chelsea
sure.
Grin, Fire in the Skies.
Yeah, dude. And to take it back even further, my emo band, we played with like Neon Trees every show
Yep.
too. So I'm like,
Yep.
I think some of these bands made it big because we gave them the springboard, you know?
I have one of those original when they still handmade their demos, Neon Trees, like they painted them. I have one of those.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Good old days, man.
Yeah, Tyler coming up at the old 7-Eleven across from the old Muse. He's like, I play in a band. You guys look like you're into cool music, and like gave
And
us.
just gave them.
Yeah,
Oh.
just gave them away.
Was it
nuts.
the? It's like kind of black, and then the little tree that's painted.
Yeah,
or
it
the
looked like
purple.
like the
or
a
whatever?
purple tree.
Yep,
'cause,
yep,
like,
yeah. I got one of those.
It almost looked like it was like in the style of like In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, but
little bit.
it's the tree. Yeah, yep,
Yeah, that's up.
dude.
So we gave them their start.
Cohesive. So you guys heard it first. Absolved.
Even though we started 15 years later, we gave Neon Trees their big start.
You guys owe
dude.
me money.
So the big question is, when are you
Royalties.
starting your Neon Trees cover band?
Who knows? It's already
Electric plants.
Tornado of
electric foliage.
I guess speaking of funny band names, how did the name Absolved come about?
Okay. This is fun. So
Strap in,
a
gentlemen.
couple different things. So any Provo hardcore kid is influenced through and through. I don't know if you guys have heard of Parallax. They were like the quintessential Provo hardcore band.
I have heard of them. I used to work at a music store, and one of my coworkers was obsessed with them. Loved them.
It was Parallax almost had like a cult following in the most positive way. I mean, it was a direct counterculture to like this dogmatic Mormon bubble that we'd all grown up and
Right.
lived in, and have these ideas that are pushing back and questioning and even moving beyond and past and into other theologies and stuff like that was huge. And I mean, they had a-
Especially for everybody around. That was probably like mind, like, oh, we can do that. We can say we have our own voice. We can do that. Yeah, that's
Right.
what was going back to it when we were talking
It was
earlier. Like
liberating, man.
how fresh it
yeah,
was.
it's
like,
liberating
exciting.
to find your voice and what ideas you gel with and what you don't, and like finding your own voice and stuff. And
And
so
then
like,
everybody's community just comes
for
together.
real,
Yeah.
dude, Parallax was like the springboard for so many different people and bands. Like a lot of the bands that I mentioned earlier, like Railspike, Despite Despair, all of that old Provo stuff, wouldn't have happened if not for Parallax. And like, it's kind of a running joke now that there's not a lot, but a handful of bands that have come from Provo or Provo kids like me where our band name is derivative from Parallax lyrics. So
Interesting.
Despite Despair
That's
is actually
awesome.
from their song Dent that says, against all odds, despite despair, I stay inspired. And Absolved is from a song of theirs, Surgery Without Sutures.
Do they know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my buddy Elliot played guitar in Parallax, and he lives in Chicago now. We text all the time, and he's like, I knew that was from,
Yeah.
but like it's
Just
a,
send you a thief.
yeah. He sends me like a royalties like contract to sign.
What was the lyric from that song?
It's a long song. It's a spoken word song.
Like Law Dispute?
Not so. You'll maybe I'll show you guys offline here, but the singer of this old '90s Seattle band that I actually mentioned earlier, Trial, their singer Greg Bennick, was really good friends with these Parallax dudes and did like a spoken word, almost like poetry track over one of their songs, and it's a really existential look of like what it is to be alive and the struggle therein and the things that we search for in life and the things that we search for to give us meaning. And one of the things that he says is just like to be alive, to be absolved, to want it all, to have it now. So it's like, to me, that always meant like we're all searching to be blameless, right? That's what it is to absolve, to be absolved, is to stand blameless and separate yourself. But I'm really big into self-awareness and into accountability, because without accountability, I'm not in control of anything. I can't help anyone. I can't change anything.
You can only control yourself and what you do.
So
Yeah.
having that as a name is just really a constant reminder to myself of like, dude, just like I'm in control of my life. I'm not doing it for anyone else, any other set of ideas. I don't owe anyone anything. Even I love my parents, but I don't owe them to live my life a certain way because they brought me up. You know,
Exactly.
I'm not looking to absolve myself of responsibility and sin, and well, not sin. I do what I want. Yeah, no, that was big for me, and that's it. It's one word and one lyric that always stuck out in that song, and it's a really beautiful song. I recommend anyone to listen to it. You can definitely feel the heartbreak in it, and like the desperation to understand what it is to live and be human, and the very basic things that we search for within ourselves. So yeah, that's where it's
Dude,
from.
it sounds like, I mean, was it? From what I can imagine, from the first time seeing them, you probably resonated and clicked just instantly. Then,
Oh, dude,
I mean,
so
it's
many
inspired
kids, man.
you so
many-
instantly.
Everyone that I know that's like into hardcore before I am loves Parallax and stuff like that. I kind of wish that I was able to run into them before.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they hear this and they do a reunion show.
They do it every now and then. Their singer Blake Donner tragically passed away in 2005 or 6.
Oh, bummer.
The night after a show, they went up Provo Canyon. There's these caves that you could dive down into and swim between these caverns, and a lot of them got stuck one night.
Fuck.
So our friend Jeffrey Beathers has filled in with them whenever they do reunions, but I hope so too. A lot of them don't even live around here anymore. In fact, Elliot, their guitarist, went and did a short tour with Race Trader. That is Andy Hurley, the drummer of Fall Out Boy's hardcore band from the late 90s that he
Damn.
still plays with. So he got to go hang out with
It
this dude.
sounds like there needs to be. I mean, that's tragic. It sounds like that's kind of. That seems like rock and roll, like legend.
Yeah.
Like that needs to be like a documentary or a real movie made about that. Like there's his story or their story.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like they meant a lot to a
lot,
lot
man.
of people, and then they did. It sounds like that kind of cut their stride. Then it seems like they were going.
Yeah, their momentum was at an all-time high, and their influence, man. Like, that was the first time I ever heard ideas against homophobia. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I grew up thinking...
Yeah, you come in the area that we live in. It's obviously, or has been for ever, and still is for a lot of people, frowned upon, and they think it's a choice and whatever else that comes along with it. So it's the environment we grew up in, and we didn't know better.
Yeah.
Because we weren't told anything. So then when
that's-
you actually got into the pure thing, you're like, oh, light bulb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That was the first pushback I ever gotten. I always thought this stuff was just Bible. It was irrefutable truth.
Right.
The things that we thought, and to realize that life's not this black and white binary, right?
And to question that was
to
like,
question it
yeah,
and
you
push
weren't allowed
back
to.
is to it was iconoclasm, right? Like it kind of ripped apart everything that you thought you knew and took out this comfort blanket of of these absolutes, right? And to realize that, the answer is open-mindedness and compassion and push back, and sometimes that means direct action, like...
Dude, I love you got all that just from one band.
Yeah,
And
dude.
it just twisted and then inspired. Yeah,
Parallax,
that's
kids.
awesome. Just throwing this out there, I think it would be cool if you covered one of their songs.
Yeah. They're really technical and do very strange time
Even if you
signatures,
never play
augmented
it
chords.
live, if you just recorded it,
Yeah.
I think that would be
I would
a
actually-
good,
I toyed with the idea with covering that Surgery Without Sutures, the spoken word.
is it like
track.
Me Without You? Like that kind of...
Without you?
Me Without You is a
Oh,
band.
a little bit of Me Without You.
You'll have to just show me.
Yeah, I'll
Because
show
they
you.
just have that really
Yeah,
cool
it's so
vibe.
good. Yeah.
I love that.
It definitely plays more as almost like a slam poetry sort of.
Right, but then you have the music behind
Yeah.
it. I guess that's kind of why I was referencing like Law Dispute and that kind of
Yeah.
thing as well, because it's that same vibe.
Uh-huh.
I love those guys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we'll have to listen to that.
Yeah.
Man, that was such. Yeah, it kind of just stuck on that bummer of a story. Yeah, because it's sad, It's just that's life. I loved what you were saying though about like how this is what you got from life and this is how I live. I don't know anybody anything.
Mm-hmm.
It just makes more sense the more I hear you guys talk, how much you're like, oh, this just instantly translates to your guys' music,
Yeah.
to your passion, to everything that comes across. And it's just cool because how cohesive it is.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, with your other guitar player at the time, not knowing the lyrics, anything, is like, if we're not all on the same page, what's the point? I feel like, I really like how you guys are doing it and living it and doing your art and everything. Like,
No,
yeah,
thanks,
it's really
man.
cool, man. Yeah, it comes across, man.
No, I would suggest anybody, especially to touch on what Cody said earlier, go listen to our song Thrill House. Go read the lyrics. I mean, it's something pretty near and dear to me. I talked about it a little bit at our release show, but the idea was inspired from this short documentary that I had watched about people like on end-of-life care in hospice, like on their deathbeds. And this person interviewed these people and asked, like, if you could go back, what would you change? Or
Right.
what was a big regret? And, like, it hit me really hard. This one old lady said, I wish I had the courage to be the person I always wanted to be.
Right.
And now it's too late.
Yeah.
And it made me think of like the pressure that all of us are under. Doesn't matter what sort of upbringing, religion, theology, whatever. Like, a lot of us are set up to live in such a certain way and held to such standards where anything else is viewed as like failure or
Right.
you're the black sheep of the family, and that's not it. This life for me is way too short to rob myself of the experiences that I want to have, the person I want to be, the interests I want to have. Did I make time for the people I love? Did I go and see the things I wanted to see? Mm-hmm. If I'm passionate about screaming words in people's faces, did I do that? Or did I let myself be completely restrained and immobilized by what I'm supposed to be, right? And then leads into like all the people I know personally in my life and my family and extended family that like how different and how much more joyous would their life be right now if they allowed themselves to live authentically,
Right.
to be who they feel deep down. We all know it's there. Like, it's in our DNA, the things that we truly want to be. Sometimes it takes a little longer to discover it, but it's there. So like, how much more of a joyous life could these people have? How much heartbreak could they have and suffering could they have like circumnavigated around, right? And like, how late is too late? I hope never, but like that's one of the lyrics is if not here, if not now, then where? Because I won't let this trite life take me. Trite meaning like tired, worn out sort of life. Like I'm not going to play into that narrative. And if it hurts people's feelings, which luckily my parents are very supportive and open-minded people, then you got to let them own that, man. Life is way too short to just keep others happy and rob yourself of that joy.
I couldn't agree more.
What do you think,
I could not
Cody?
agree. I feel like it's the same thing too with you're speaking family members and other people like that, where I'm sure you guys might have experienced the same kind of thing when your parents find out. You're like, oh, you're wasting all your time doing this or whatever else. Are you making any money? Like, that's usually what it. Are you making money? You're like, why would you do this? Like, even if I was making a lot of money, it's not about the money. I would do this even if no one showed up at the shows and we're playing at sound check, or what I mean, you're playing before as doors open. It doesn't matter. Kind of coming back when you were saying that too, it's like it took me a long time to get to that spot where it's like I don't really care if there's 20 people there, 200, 2,000, as long as us on stage are having a good time and we're playing and having, that's what matters.
Right.
Doesn't matter if people are just giving or whatever
Right.
else, because that's like you're saying, the roundabout way. Am I living honest? Because time is so precious. We keep coming back to all these same kind of subjects and everything, because I feel like we see eye to eye on all those. But it's like, what's the point? It's not. Yeah, like, this is what I love doing. Why wouldn't I want to do that? And how many people on their deathbed are like, I wish I could have learned how to play guitar. What is it? You could have. We all are the same. Anybody can play guitar. You just got to take the time. We're all artists. It's like saying I'm a bad monk. It's like, you're not a bad monk. Either you're a monk or you're not. Either you're practicing art, being an artist, and trying to do that, or you're not. So it's your thoughts on that as well?
Thrill House, it means the most to me out of like most of our lyrics and stuff. Just
So it makes sense that you guys ended it with, right? That's why.
Yeah, like honestly, like, most of them mean a lot to me, but like I just agree. Like, that's how I ended up in, like, right now in a band anyways. I just got tired of not doing what I've always wanted to do. So as soon as that was written, I was like, I feel that, like completely. And I've said that to them like many times, but that one, like lyrically, that one means the most to me just because I agree with it. But same with Reclamation, everything on Reclamation I agree with, and Breathe New Life, and just everything is just honest and what I'm about. And
once again, it comes across. It comes like instantly as soon as you're listening to it. Like, these guys mean what they're doing. It's not, which is just, it's refreshing.
Oh, thank you.
It's refreshing because, once again, being in projects, being around other things, when you see, you're like, oh man, you're just trying to be somebody else, or you're just copying this trend. You're
Right.
following a trend. You're not trying to do your own thing. You're not doing this because you love it. You're like, oh, this is gonna get me famous, and it's just that never comes across as, I mean, once again, just coming across to your live shows, they wouldn't be as energetic and fun and as passionate if you guys didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I feel like
No.
why would people care?
That's
If you guys are
awesome.
just standing there, you're like, why
Right.
would people care?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's even artists or anything else. You're like, they're not the best, but they're so like that's what punk's about. They're passionate about what they're doing, and that's all that matters. They believe in what they're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't even matter if you understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
As long as
Yeah.
Like, I remember thinking that about Rage Against the Machine when I was a kid. Like, I have no idea
But
a pocket full of shells mean.
Yeah.
Which, dark and grotesque now that I'm an adult. I know what
Once
it
you
is.
learn the actual lyrics of everything.
But like, holy shit, these guys have a full conviction about what they're singing, and because they believe in the urgency is there, I'm there for it.
Yeah, and that's the reason it's so energetic
Yeah.
and so like you just feel it. You feel the music. Yeah.
And I think that's probably what most of our releases will be. I mean, At the Close that's basically what it's based around. At the Close, at the end of my life, like the first two songs are about like courage and endurance, right? Like, am I
At the
going to be
helm.
brave through and through? Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the helm is literally not to get too deep in the geeky weeds, but it's from like an old Tolkien story called The Children of Hurin, which is in the Silmarillion, like deep Middle Earth lore. This guy, like the last of his army with the two-handed axe, like just slaying thousands of orcs that are coming to take his life. But every time he slays one, he screams out loud, "Day shall come again." Like, I'm not going down. Like,
I'm gonna keep
I'm
moving
going to
forward.
keep going no matter what.
Yeah.
That's essentially what the whole song is about. So just like courage, then End of All Things is about like love, right? Like, did I make time and love the people that I wanted and persevere with that? And then, the last song, Thrill House, is just about like self-liberation, right? Like taking the time here and now to be what you are. So packaging that up, that's the whole essence of the new record. So we're really proud of it.
I love it. Yeah, the passion. I just keep coming back to that, the passion, and it's, once again, it's just as a it comes across that you guys thought about it so much, and everything's it's. If you haven't already, check it out. At the
Ew.
Close. Good way.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen.
I concur.
All right, let's go to Pier 49, guys. Is this still open?
I bet it is, dude.
It's still there. I don't know if it's open on Sundays.
So is that the stage?
Yeah. Have you seen that meme? It's like hardcore kids be like, "This is my favorite venue." And it's like a crate on the ground.
The two pallets put together. Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
exactly.
Probably like two
man.
pizza boxes. at
Right.
49.
Yeah, a couple of them.
Cut. Thank you guys so much again for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure talking
thank
with
you.
you and kind of just dissecting all the different songs and everything else. And hopefully I'll get to see you guys come,
Hell
play
yeah.
a show here soon. Plug your socials.
Yeah,
and
be
keep
most
it-
up to date is just our Instagram is where everything lives. Our Twitter, just find us at Absolved.hc. You can stream our two EPs anywhere that you stream music, and we have some live sets professionally recorded up on YouTube that you can go check out too.
Which I love. Yeah, I always love when a band has that. Yeah, it's fun because
good
it's
quality.
especially for not just that, but like if there's fans of you guys, you can get across the world. Or like I can't see them yet because I don't live in this part of the world, but I can experience the show.
Yeah,
so it's
we
fun.
have some fans in like Indonesia
Yeah,
and like
That's pretty
Eastern
crazy.
Europe and stuff that are like
dude, people in Indonesia love this kind of music.
They do,
They love
man.
hardcore.
Yeah, they do.
But-
We'll get over there soon enough with Tornado of Souls.
The Tornadoes of the Souls Tour.
World tour.
Only high schools. You can only play high school talent shows.
Yeah. But seriously, thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, thank
so
you guys.
much.
It was an absolute pleasure, and thank you for watching. Catch you guys later.
Thanks for listening to You Guys Shred.